Not yet. I'll say. Live stream started.
Okay, we're ready to go. This October meeting of the Akron Vacant Commercial and Industrial Appeals Board will now come to order. Before we get started, I'll read a short statement here. This board hears two types of cases involving particular properties, the first being appeals of notices and orders to comply. The second being reports of hazardous buildings from the Department of Neighborhood Assistance. Representatives of the city, owners, other people in control of the property, neighbors, other interested parties will be recognized and given an opportunity to be heard concerning the particular property involved. We're going to swear in people today. Mr. York, can you confirm we will do that as the individual cases come up?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Our order of presentation will be then as follows. And the chair will recognize those wishing to speak, offering opportunity for rebuttal at the appropriate time. First, the city will present the summary of the history of the property. Second, those speaking in favor of the appeal or in favor of rehabilitating the property will be heard. Third, those speaking against the appeal or against rehabilitating the property will be heard. And finally, those in favor will have an opportunity to respond to the comments of those against. With that, then, I'd like to ask for a motion to suspend the rules of this board requiring in-person attendance, in-person participation, and in-person voting. Anyone?
I would like to make a motion to suspend the in-person voting and appearance.
Thank you. Do we have a second on that?
I will second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so motion to suspend the rules are approved. Next item is we have minutes from last month's September 9th meeting. Board members, have you had a chance to review those minutes?
Yes.
If so, if there are no changes or corrections, does anyone care to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None opposed. Minutes have been approved from September 9th. Okay, so we move into administrative case hearings, which we have one today, and that is case number 26-20, 415 Store Avenue.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This case.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes, sir.
could I interrupt you just for a minute? Could you raise your right hand? Is the testimony you're about to give the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, 415 Store Avenue, case number 0026 is currently vacant, dilapidated, had been secured by the city of Akron, and as of the date of this report, which was September 29th, 2020, was not registered. Mr. Chairman, the dilapidated conditions of this property makes it a public nuisance and a blight and a safety hazard to the neighborhood. But Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add, since this report was written, I've had an opportunity, myself and Jamie Dixon from the fire department, to see the inside of this building. I believe you have pictures. The owner has registered that property as well as his other two properties and has committed to cleaning up and has submitted a long-term plan to develop this property. He's not able to be on the Zoom call today, so I'm gonna take a little liberty here and kind of speak for him, if that's okay.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
I believe he is, I believe he's in attendance, just not by video.
Okay. All right.
Yes,
If he is-
I'm here.
Okay. Mr. Stowers, you want to go ahead?
Can we swear him in then?
Sure, Mr. Stowers,
Yes, sir.
I can't see you, but I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand.
Okay.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, your fifth member is now in attendance. I don't know if you were able to see that.
Oh, yes, very good.
Thank you.
Morning. All right. Very good. All right, Mr. Stowers, would you care to elaborate on your long-term plan?
Okay. So I have a couple plans that I want to do with that building. One, there's programs out here for bad kids. There's no programs out for the good kids. So I'm a Cleveland School of the Arts graduate. And so one of my ideas is to open a school for gifted kids that involve them in the arts. So that's one of my plans. The next plan is to open a senior citizen facility that's affordable. That's a plan also. And the third plan is, well, actually it's four plans. So the third plan is a community development center. And the fourth plan is to open a charter school that's based on trades. So they took all the trades out of public schools. So my goal is to start a trade school to teach people that can't afford to go to trade schools, make affordable trade schools. And those trades would consist of plumbing, electrical, painting, etc.
Okay. What about financing of all these programs and timeframes?
The financing and time frame,
Yes.
as far as getting the school up and running or the senior citizen facility up and running.
Well, yeah, any of that. I mean, I guess
Well,
our purpose
I
here is
have-
to make sure that the building is safe and secure and being used.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind. That's what we're here to make sure. Everything you
absolutely.
said sounds good, but I'm just curious as to how and when.
Well, I have some backers that's going to partner with me with this program, with these programs. But of course, when COVID hit, everything went south. So we're in the process of getting back on the right page and moving forward with these ideas. And it's just a matter of getting a start date and when all this is going to take place. So I have a demolition company and a cleaning company, and my company went south when COVID hit also. But we're on the up and moving forward process right now. So it's
Okay.
just a matter of getting everything back on the right track.
Okay. Well, again, that sounds good. We're looking for some kind of, and when we realize, it's been a tough year and all that. But going forward, we're just looking at, okay, how and when is this going to move forward on your end?
Well, as far as the cleaning, the building, the inside with what I looked at, what we did the walkthrough with the fire department, I am in the process of doing that as we speak right now.
Okay.
So, and then the board up as well. I'm going to stay on top of keeping it boarded up and all that good stuff.
Mr. Johnson, you've had the opportunity to go through. Are you satisfied with the plan that he's put forth?
Yeah, we feel that, since he has started to clean up, we want to make sure that that's done. We would be okay with giving him at least 90 days to get that done and put together a more specific plan for that location. Something more defined as to what he can do, will do, and his funding for that. But we would be okay with 90 days as long as all those things got done and everything was kept up to code, starting ASAP and continued until he gets the building up and running.
Okay. Maybe my next question's for Mr. Dixon. Did the fire department identify anything that you need to see addressed immediately, or what is your thoughts on all that?
Mr. Dixon, let me swear you in before you get started. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I think the biggest issues with that old school there is there's a whole bunch of trash inside. It looks like vandals have gotten in the past and kind of destroyed the old school books and art supplies and things that were in the school. When we were there, it looked like it was boarded up pretty good. I think the biggest issue is make sure it stays boarded up and clean out all the trash so that there's nothing inside the building that can burn.
Okay. Very good, thanks. Mr. Stowers, is there anything else you'd like to add? I'm going to turn it over to my board members for their questions, but is there anything else you'd like to add first?
No, sir.
All right, board, any thoughts, questions?
Mr. Chairman, did you turn it over to the board?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I got a couple questions. Mr. Sowers, for your vocation training, do you have certified instructors that's going to teach these? And also you
Yep.
said something about the senior citizen. Can you elaborate on what do you mean by the senior citizen?
Well, if I do a senior citizen assisted living facility there, I don't know if you guys know anything about the baby boomers. Right now, the baby boomers are of age. They're getting up in age. And from what different companies and different facilities that I've been to, they don't have any affordable senior citizen living facilities. So that is one of the top ones that's on my list to consider doing there. It would be assisted living for senior citizens.
Okay, and what about your instructors for your vocation?
Yeah, I have certified instructors that will teach the classes.
Okay. And if we give you this 90 days extension, you'll be able to come back with a more complete plan on your intentions of this building?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Welcome. Anyone else? Members of the board?
Hi there, good morning. Sorry if I missed it, but was wondering if you had plans, after looking at the pictures, any plans to clean up its current state in this 90-day extension that you're looking for?
Yes, actually, that'll be clean before 90 days.
Okay. I mean, to me, it looks like it's mostly interior stuff. Is that what the inspection is
Yes.
confirming too? Okay.
Mr. Johnson, I don't know if you heard the question.
Yeah.
Were there outdoor violations as well, or is it just interior?
That inspection recently was interior. We had some weed and grass complaints. That was taken care of. There was some trash that had been dumped there, but when I arrived on the scene to do the interior inspection, Mr. Stowers had that trash on the back of his pickup truck. So we are satisfied with the outside, but yes, the inside, and he indicated that has started to be cleaned up, but our most concern right now is the cleanup of the inside.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? For the record, is there anyone here to speak against this? Okay, hearing none, would anyone care to make a motion? The city seems okay with a 90-day extension of time. Seems warranted.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to extend a 90-day extension for the interior cleanup and then subsequent inspections after that to satisfy that cleanup of the city.
Plus the
Thank you.
plan, plus the plan. We need the
Plus the
plan.
plans, yes, plus the plans of the intention of the building.
Very good. Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Burke, was that in favor or opposed?
In favor.
Okay, just want to make sure. It was kind of close there. All right, so it's a unanimous 90 days extension granted. Thank you, Mr. Stowers, and good luck to you.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, do we need a minute or can we move on to the review case hearings?
We can move on to the review case, Mr. Chairman.
If I
Very
could
good.
just check, if I could just check with Lance before we get started. Lance, is there anyone in the waiting room for this case? Mr. Geith, possibly?
Yes, and I will admit him now.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Johnson, if you could just let him get in before you start.
Okay.
Thanks. I might as well just swear him in before you start too, then I won't have to interrupt.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Geith?
Okay, do you want to unmute?
Mr. Geith, can you hear me? You're muted. You need to look for the little microphone. You should
There
be
you go.
good now.
I've got perfect. Thank you, guys.
Sure. Okay, if you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Say I do. Okay, Mr. Johnson's going to
I
go
do.
first. Mr. Johnson will go first and then you'll get to talk.
Okay, just to introduce this case then, this is case number 3-20 and 1090 Brown Street.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0003-20, address of 1090 Brown Street. The last review was September 9th, 2020. During that time, we asked that the next review, all repairs be finished. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, at this time, I inspected the place, myself and the fire inspector, Jamie Dixon, yesterday, and they were about 95% complete. The city of Akron is willing to give them a drop dead date of 30 days to finish this. And I think we've been more than lenient with this property. Maybe too much.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Geit, you want to tell us what needs to be finished and can that be accomplished in 30 days?
Sure. So what we have to complete is basically 2 or 3 rooms. The ceiling needs mudded and then mudded and finished. And then we have, I believe, it was 2 or 3 doors that need to be installed. They're just, we have them. They just need to be installed, like hinges and everything. And then there's a side of the space where it's old look and feel. It's dated back from like the early 1900s, like probably 1928. So we kind of want that look and feel still there. So we have to just clean that up and finish it, make it look nice, presentable. And I believe that's really about it. That's all we got to do to complete it.
So 30 days should be plenty of time for that.
I agree.
Okay. And do you have tenants lined up?
As of right now, we don't currently, but I mean, with the housing market right now, anything that goes up, I mean, people are everywhere looking for rentals. So that shouldn't be a problem. We'll be able to get someone in there quick.
Okay. Members of the board, any questions here? None? Anyone here to speak against this project? Okay. Weird thing going on. Okay, that's better. Members, the city is recommending a 30-day drop dead date for completion. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion on case number 0003-20, 1090 Brown Street, to give him a 30-day extension, drop dead date, that everything be completed. And otherwise, I think we have no choice but to go through with possibly demolition.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Opposed?
Aye.
One
Abstain.
opposed and one abstention. All right, so Mr. Geith, you've been granted your 30 days. Please get everything done so that when we're back here, we can dismiss this case next month.
Will do, absolutely. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Next is case number 18-20. This is 1079 South Arlington.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
Mr. Johnson,
Sure.
let me stop you just for a minute. Lance, do we have anyone in the waiting room for this case?
Yes, you do. You have a Mr. Brian Williams, and I'm admitting him now.
Is there also a Mr. Yusefi?
No,
Just Mr. Williams.
just Mr. Williams.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. He seems to have moved. Do we want to swear in Mr. Williams now?
I don't need to swear in Mr. Williams since he's an
Oh.
attorney.
Okay,
Mr. Williams, is your client with you as well?
you're muted. You need to unmute, Mr. Williams.
I'm sorry. Mr. Williams is on another hearing on another computer in the Common Pleas Court.
Okay, So who
His
do we
client
have?
is here. I am not the attorney. I'm just, I work for Mr. Williams, and like I said, he's in his office on another computer in another hearing.
Okay. Is the client, who do you have with you there?
Mr. Akram Yusufi, he's the plaintiff.
So Mr. Yusufi is there.
okay.
So Mr. Yusufi, your attorney is not here, but this hearing is proceeding. Are you going to take part in this hearing without your attorney?
If I have to, yes, sir, Your Honor.
Well, it's up to you. You're not forced to do anything. But if you want
Yes,
to,
I will.
okay. What I need to do then is I need to swear you in so that you'll be able to testify later. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Johnson, you want to give us an update?
Sure. Case number 0018-20, address of 1079 South Arlington. Mr. Chairman, the last review on this case was September 9th, 2020. At that hearing, it was ordered that this property remove all garbage and rubbish and refuse from the property, obtain the necessary permits and inspections, allow the fire department to do an inspection, and pay its registration fee. To date, we have no record of a registration fee that has been paid for this property. I have not been able to see the inside. As far as I know, Jamie or any of his colleagues haven't seen the inside. We have no record or confirmation of any permits being pulled for inspections or for work. The garbage and refuse in the parking lot has been cleaned up. And the building seems to be on the outside from just a quick review of myself and others in the same condition.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Williams, is that you there now?
Yes, and I'm a little perturbed that, I'm sorry that I'm not trying to delay these proceedings at all, but I had another criminal matter scheduled and that I was on the Ring Central with Judge Bro. So I postponed that one to come here. They were both scheduled for 9. And it's, I
Mr.
can't
Williams,
control when
we've
they,
known about
when they
this
get
one
on,
for-
when I get on the screen. So I'm a little
We've known
perturbed
about
that we
this one
started
for a
the hearing
month or
without me being present.
You've known about this matter for a month or two.
John.
Of course, we're going to proceed. He could proceed without you. That's his choice, or make other arrangements. But
How do we make other arrangements when a court gives me a deadline and I have to honor it, John? I just can't tell the court, oh, well, I can blow you off because I've got this other matter.
The board's ready to go. That's why they're going. I mean, this is their agenda and they're moving forward. So I'm just really surprised that he didn't either come up with other arrangements. We shouldn't have to hear about this at the morning of the hearing. And then
I advised Ms. Brunson yesterday when she gave me the notice, which I just got yesterday of the Lincoln information. I immediately called her, left a message and said what my circumstance was so you would be duly advised. If she didn't give you that information, I apologize. But I did what I thought was appropriate to deal with the situation. And that's what I always do with courts. I let the courts know what's going on and that if there's going to be a problem, and this is what's going on. So it's not like I didn't try.
Okay. Well,
If
we're
I
here
could jump
now.
in here.
We're here now, and I think we should probably just let the chairman proceed. I apologize,
Yeah,
Mr.
I mean, are we ready to proceed? It's going to be my question. I mean, you're here
We are
now.
now.
All right. Did you make it in time to hear Mr. Johnson's summary of the update that we just heard.
I caught the tail end of it that the trash has been dealt with, which my client had advised me earlier that he had complied with that request. The other parts I did not hear, sir.
Well, if I can sum it up for you, he covered 3 other items that were to be addressed at this point from our last meeting. One was permits, one was an inspection, and one was fees to be paid and registered, none of which have happened.
Well, the inspection, I mean, no one contacted him to schedule it. I mean, he's been available for an inspection. We haven't denied it.
Okay.
He advises me that Mr. Tell, the tenant, Mr. Tell at 1079 is doing repairs, and he was to provide us copies of the permits. I advised Mr. Yusefi today that if Mr. Tell cannot provide that information, that he should go himself to the city permit department and obtain copies and verification that in fact the work that's being done is being done by appropriate personnel.
You advised him today of that.
Because Mr. Tell was supposed to give him the information, and Mr. Tell apparently was unable to meet with Mr. Yusefi before today.
Okay, again, what about registration and fees?
What registration are we talking about? If it's the rental registration, this is commercial property. My understanding is it's not required. If I am in error, I would like to be advised as to what my client's supposed to do, but I don't believe that there's a registration requirement.
Registration with the Vacant Commercial Board. I thought we were pretty clear on that last month.
Yeah, I believe last month he had said that he would register. I don't even think that was an issue. Yes, Mr. Williams, there's a requirement to register and pay a fee for vacant commercial buildings similar to.
It's not vacant. That's why we're having this hearing. It's not vacant.
He has no certificate of occupancy. We covered that last month as well. It can't be occupied. He has no certificate of occupancy.
Well, that's different than registration.
Not occupied lawfully without a certificate of occupancy.
Well,
he told us at the last meeting that he'd have a certificate of occupancy in 60 days.
That's right. And it's not 60 days yet. The certificate of occupancy, I've dealt with other cases. There has to be certain inspections that are passed before that will be issued. He is working on getting the problems cleared up so it can pass the inspection, which would then allow for the certificate of occupancy to be issued.
Well, in the meantime, you need to register.
All right. My understanding was Mr. Yusefi asked for a form so he could comply. He's never received a form. If there's something I can download for him, I will do so.
He's registered properties before.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Johnson, please proceed.
He registered this property last year. I'm looking at the document now. He didn't register for this year. That's what we were requiring. Also, we're looking at the water usage in this building. For the last year, there's been 0 water usage there. So we see no indication that this building has been occupied.
It was not in my hand.
The previous tenant, Mr. Fisher, did he use water?
I have the bill, $2,000 water bill. Mr. Fisher used $1,000 water since he took over on May 2019. I have the bill of water bill with me.
Our records show that
$1,900.
Our records show that no water use since October of 2019.
But here is the bill that they told me, and I paid that $1,900. And your office or water department asked us to put the backflow equipment there. It's already installed, backflow and the water's supposed to be on today.
Water's been shut off far as our records show since 2019 of October.
What date 2019, sir?
In October of 2019 is what our records show. The water's been shut off since then.
And it was not in my hand, it was in the hand of Mr. Fisher.
Well, Mr. Chairman, the bill that I'm looking at is dated 11/19/19, and it has specific charges. There was 30 CCF used at $2.73, and there's other calculations. The usage for that billing period was $672.27. So how do you acquire a bill in November of 2019 when allegedly the water was shut off in October of 19? That doesn't make any sense.
Past usage, it makes sense.
Well, the billing period is from 11/1 to 11/19. It does not show that it was August or September. It shows actual usage up to that billing point. So obviously there's a discrepancy there.
Well, I'm sure there's a reason. What about for the past year almost?
We took the occupant, we took over a
Okay.
month ago, or 2 months ago.
As we stated at the last hearing, he had a tenant there, Mr. Fisher, who obviously was not a good tenant. We had to evict him. He was evicted in July. In August, a tentative lease agreement was set up with a Mr. Gus Tell. We're finalizing a more appropriate detailed lease and we'll submit it once Mr. Tell signs it. And Mr. Tell has started the process with Mr. Yusefi of bringing this particular address back up to code and to get everything into compliance. So it's not considered a vacant building. And he's there and doing work and we'll make sure that the work is being done appropriately with proper permits.
We're really not here today to argue. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, could I?
No, please, Mr. York, go ahead.
We're not here to argue today about whether it's occupied or vacant. He got an order early in 2020. I don't know the exact date. Maybe Mr. Johnson has it handy, but he got an order to register the building and that order wasn't appealed. So to sit here today and say he doesn't have to register because it's not vacant, that we're just beyond that. This is a completely different matter at this point. This is about whether this building is going to be ordered demolished or not.
Well,
but as
Mr.
part
York,
of a part of the possibility of saving the building, the city has asked that he register the building for 2020, and he hasn't done that, and he hasn't had inspections, and he hasn't pulled permits, and the permits he needs to pull don't come from the city, they come from the county, so that those inspections that you talked about can be done by the county. But the city inspector, Mr. Johnson, and the fire department also need to get in so they can get a good idea of what's going on inside that building.
And we're willing to do that. I mean, nobody's made contact with him. As for the city, Mr. York, as for the other matters, we will comply with that. I misunderstood the registration issue. And I
One at a
apologize.
time, please.
It's not on the
Mr.
city to
Chairman?
contact him. It's on him to contact the city and take a more proactive approach. You cannot expect the city to come to get the forms. The city doesn't work that way. It's on the property owner to come find out what he needs to do and get it done. We were very clear, I think, at the last time this became before the board on what was needed to be done. None of that
Mr.
involved
Chairman?
the city contacting him.
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Mr. Johnson.
The notices that we sent out and I post on the building in green, it clearly states on there, and I believe Rachel, I'm looking at one of them highlighted, please contact George Johnson, Department of Neighborhood Assistance at 330-375-2324 by Wednesday, October 7th, 2020 to arrange an inspection. Right there in writing.
So
did you have that notice?
I don't recall, but in October, that building was not in my hand. And the guy was saying that he was he already taken care of.
All
And
right.
when I went to the office, they charged me for two buildings, one in Wilbeth, and they told me, the office in neighborhood told me that they are aware of Mr. Fisher, that they
Okay.
did.
All right. Well, obviously there are some deficiencies here, Mr. Giuseppe, which they're pointing out, which need to be addressed. And, you know, I don't recall any, Mr. Giuseppe doesn't recall any notice, Mr. Johnson. We're not saying he didn't get it, but my understanding was from the last meeting that we consented to these inspections and that they were gonna go forward with them. We said, fine, just come out. He didn't refuse anything. If he misunderstood that he was supposed to set it up, again, he apologizes. But he is making a good faith effort. This is not a building that should be in condemned status. It's had its problems, but he's working to bring it back. And I had brought this up last time that we needed at least 60 to 90 days to make a significant amount of progress. He has made some progress in the 30 days since the last meeting. We would respectfully ask for 30 more days, and these things that are being brought up on the record today will have to be addressed, and otherwise Mr. Giuseppe will understand what the consequences will be.
If you would allow me 1 minute, I can bring up what else we have done.
I was just going to ask you to do that. Please do so.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Very sorry.
Silence that, Mr. Giuseppe.
Never expected. Sorry about it.
Yep.
Okay. The broken doors and broken windows have been taken care of. Commodes, those were broken or frozen, taken out and taken care of. The floor was destroyed, a lot of it, and we fixed it. Walls were broken and we fixed it. I'm very sorry. And could you please turn this off?
Yeah.
And ceiling, the same thing. The ceiling were chipped and door painted and taken care of. Shrubs and trees and tires outside, and also a barrel of oil was there or taken care. They deposited a lot of carpets. Also, in January of 2019, the police report will indicate that one person got there for 1 month, and because of that person, they shut off this place. Otherwise, in the last 12 years, there was not one incident violation at all. It was completely following the rule. But when this guy got for 1 month, he came and took 60,000 equipment, sound system, everything in the kitchen, even the seating that were bolted on the floor, they were taken out, and the police report would show that.
Okay. Well, thank you for that summary.
Thank you.
I can't speak for the board here, but the city needs to confirm all that now.
Mr.
Sounds
Chairman,
like we did a lot, but we got no way of verifying at this point.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Mr. Johnson.
we would like Mr. Seffi to give us a good address. We have mailed out numerous notices. Somehow he has gotten the notice about these hearings that we've had, these last 2 hearings, but they've been posted on his building as required. We've mailed them to the address that the county has on record as required by the ordinance. but if he can give us a good address, because we do get back quite a bit of mail that we send Mr. Yusefi.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, may I add that I be copied on that as well? And then because I consult with Mr. Yusefi regularly. Obviously, he has to give you a good address, but if I could
We
respectfully be copied, then that should clear up any problems we have of notices and who's supposed to call whom and who's supposed to do what, so we can move forward.
Is that doable, Mr. Johnson?
Tell them we know 2021 registration information
Doesn't seem like an unreasonable request. I don't know.
1 second, please.
and an email address from Mr. Williams. Yeah, we get
Mr. Johnson,
Okay, give me a minute. I'm deferring with the with the director. The director feels that it'd be best if we email Mr. Williams the information, but continue to follow the guidelines of the ordinance and mail the owner of the property and post on the property the notices and requirements as needed.
That's fine.
Okay.
So we need an email address for the attorney and a good mailing address for Mr. Yusefi.
Definitely.
Do you want us to give that to you now, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, please.
Mr. Johnson, I'm very sorry that I have a little bit problem because of this. We are the victim too. And my wife taking care of my daughter in Cleveland. I go back and
Okay.
forth.
Give him
But
your address.
The
Mr.
good
Giuseppe.
address is 4331 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio. 44319. Again, 4331 South Main Street, Akron, Ohio. 44319.
Okay.
And my email address is B as in Brian, J as in Joseph, P as in Peter, W as in Williams, bjpwlegal@gmail.com.
Is that what we have? Okay, we have that. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Members of the board, do you have any questions for Mr. Yusefi? None. Anyone here to speak against this? Mr. Johnson, I guess I would ask, does the city have a preference here?
30 days, he has to have it inspected. If not, at the next hearing, we will be requiring or asking the board to demo this property without.
Mr.
Any
Johnson, I believe you
provocation.
also mentioned registration.
And registration, he must register. He must register.
Okay.
What about permits?
Of
Well,
course,
any work that's done, permits have to be pulled and permitted. I think
We're almost done here.
I think Mr. York has indicated this enough times in
Yeah.
other hearings that if the permits aren't pulled and proper work is not done, it's like it never happened.
You understand that?
Of course, of course. I'd really appreciate everything, every word comes out of your mouth. It helps me.
Do you know how to ascertain the registration form? They said that you've registered before.
I will go to their office. I went last time to their office. I know where their office is.
Well, get that registration done while you're
Okay,
downtown today.
I will do it today.
And for the inspection, does he need to, what's the protocol for accomplishing that, Mr. Johnson?
Thank you.
All he needs to do was call that number that's on the form. I can give it to you right now if you want it.
Yeah,
please.
330-375-2324. Ask for myself or Ms. Brunson and give us a date and time that he's available. I will reach back out to him to confirm. And I'll make sure that Jamie or whoever fire inspector, whatever fire inspector is available, to meet me out there, and we'll do our interior inspection.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts or questions? Mr. Yusufi, do you understand what is required of you?
Yes, sir. I wrote it down, 3 things: in inspection in 3 days, must register, permit, and the telephone of Mr. Brinson. I have. And
Okay,
ask for an inspection, Mr. Brinson, when I call you this number.
Mr. Johnson.
That's
Mr.
Mrs.
Johnson.
Brinson and Mr. Johnson, sir.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry.
That's okay.
Mr. Johnson is, and then there's another lady who sent out notices on stuff. Her name is Brunson.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You can ask
I'm
for
sorry.
him
Okay.
or
All right.
Okay.
You guys got it
Okay.
squared.
at that
Okay.
number.
Okay.
And if we're
Thank
not
you.
available, please leave us a phone number where we could get back to you as soon as possible, please.
Definitely. 330-329-4441.
Okay.
No.
Anyone else? All right, members of the board, we've heard all the testimonies. Anyone care to make a motion?
I'll make a motion for case number 18-20, 1079 South Arlington Street. I move for a 30-day extension with the requirements that Mr. Yusufi register with the vacant building registry and also complete inspections with the city.
Thank you.
Can I add
Thank you.
something
Is there
to
a
that?
second?
Mr. Chairman, can I add something to that?
Mr. Burke, please go ahead.
It's Mr. Polk.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Have all repairs completed at the same time?
Have it been
realistic?
completed?
Now, they want you to complete all the repairs in 30 days. Is that possible? I don't think so.
Do our best. We will do our best. But if you remember, when we had the first meeting, I said our commitment, our planning is to finish it in 3 months. But graciously, you gave us 1 month. We do appreciate,
Right.
but please understand our shortcoming too.
You're going to have some things accomplished
Definitely,
that can be shown in Mr. Johnson or Ms. Brunson's report.
definitely.
Okay.
Mr. Polk, can we maybe amend that to something like, realistic or meaningful?
Well, the
completion of
reason I
some-
was asking, we had an extension last month, and this month that's gonna make 60 days. So I was thinking realistically that they possibly could be repaired by then.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Johnson.
I'm in a meeting with the
we
city.
haven't been inside to be able to see what needs to be repaired. I would be okay, and I think the director would be all right if we just could maybe see some receipts of things that have been done.
Receipts.
No.
Okay.
Can you get receipts? to show?
Oh, yes, yes.
All right, well, I want to get back to the motion then. Motion is for 30 days. With
And actually it'd be a little more than 30 days, Mr. Chairman. The next meeting will be November 18th because of the holiday.
Okay.
November 18th, because the second Wednesday is November
Okay.
11th. That's Veterans Day.
So how many days is that? Can we just specify to the next meeting?
Yes.
17, 35, according to my calculation.
All right. I feel like we're getting a little off track here with this motion. So we've got 35 days or whatever it is to the next meeting of November 18th. And with the additional requirements, show some receipts, show us as best you can the progress you've made. How's that?
Definitely.
Okay. With that, is there a second?
1 second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, you've been granted the additional time of 35 days, plus minus, whatever that is. Mr. Yusefi, good luck. Please stay. in
Thank you, sir.
contact
I
with the city.
appreciate it.
Schedule all your inspections and come back with a good report next month.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone in the waiting room for the next case?
Yes, Mr. Dale Watkins. I just admitted him now.
Okay. Welcome, Mr. Watkins. Mr. York, do we want to swear him in right now?
Yes, sir, I'll do that. Mr. Watkins?
You're on mute. Can you unmute, please? We also can't see you.
Mr.
Okay.
Watkins,
All right, I'm unmuted.
do you have video?
Pardon, I see you.
We can't see you. There's like a green screen.
What do I?
Are you on your phone or are you on a computer?
I'm on a computer, but I don't see how I using your hands.
Does it have a camera?
Can
There
you see
you
me
go.
now?
That worked. That worked. We can see you now.
Okay, good.
All right, sir, I want to swear you in. So if you could raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. York. Okay, this is case number 22-20. The address is 2237 East Avenue. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0022-20, 2237 East Avenue. Last review September 9th, 2020. At that time, the board granted the owner some time to consider whether he wanted to make repairs or demo the property. And I have a statement here, but since he's on the line, I'm gonna let him address the board to his decision.
Go ahead, Mr. Watkins.
Thank you. Yes, over the course of the last month, I've talked to a representative of Ray Bertoli Trucking and others, and an architect and others involved that I need to have their help. And it appears the best thing to do is to raise the building. So I'd like to participate in the Akron waiver program.
Okay. Mr. Johnson, have you had any conversation with him about that? What does he need to do?
Ms. Brunson had a chance to speak with him on that issue. And she said she will contact him and make sure he gets all the proper forms and gets that taken care of.
Okay, Mr. Watkins, as a formality here, the board needs to move forward. So we are probably going to go ahead and vote for demolition anyway, for the record. So just to let you know,
Okay.
that's where we're headed here.
All right. Now, in the meantime, I've still got some things in that building. I'm allowed to go in the building and get my items out of there and clear it up.
I'm sure the city can work with you on timing and make sure you get what you need. Just stay in contact with them. Is that fair,
Okay.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Watkins, the director just indicated to me that he will make sure that you have all the time you need to get that done.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Mr. Watkins, that we need to know?
Not that no. As long as I stay in touch with the department, I'll do whatever I need to do as timely as I can.
Okay. Anybody else to here to speak on this for or against? Okay, board, any questions? If not, anyone care to make a motion on this?
Case number 22-20, 2237 East Avenue. the city will comply with the owner's wishes to have the building demoed and also to allow him to receive his merchandise out of the building before the building is demoed.
We have a second. Anybody?
I second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear that. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it is moving forward with demolition unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Watkins.
Thank you.
Good luck to you.
Yep. Have a good.
Okay, moving on. Anyone in the waiting room for the next case?
Yes, there is. I think it's Mr. Noel Johnson. I'm admitting him now.
Mr. Johnson, can you hear me? You are on mute. Can you unmute? Can you hear me now?
Are you speaking to me?
Yes.
Oh, you said Mr. Johnson. I'm Mr. Bryant.
Oh, I thought
Antonio.
Yes, sir.
I was given the wrong name. Mr.
Yeah.
Bryant?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Bryant,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to swear you in. If you could raise your right hand for me. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Case number 23-20. The address is 1655 South Hawkins Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, case number 0023-20, address of 1655 South Hawkins. Last hearing date was September 9th, 2020. At that time, the board had ordered that all refuge and garbage be removed from the property and that the owner must register for 2019, 2020, must allow fire department to inspect and keep homeless from staying on the property. Since then, Mr. Bryant has paid the registration fees for 2019 and 2020. Myself and Mr. Dixon from the fire department had an opportunity to inspect the property. I believe you guys have pictures, and Mr. Bryant has submitted a plan. The homeless situation, I believe, is still there, but he has addressed it. He has asked Akron Police to try and encourage the woman to leave the facility.
And has everything been cleaned up on the outside? I mean, it looks.
Yes, he has addressed the weeds, the grass cutting. There was only trash that's actually there is in the area where the homeless person is, and you know, he's very compassionate about that, and I appreciate that. But that's going to be a whole nother issue.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Bryant, would you care to update the board then on everything?
I think that it was a great experience being able to come to the city and get a lot of things done in one day. Everybody was helpful and assisting me. I was able to get with Mr. Johnson and knock out a lot of the things on that list. Yesterday, we got the last quote, I believe. We are waiting on the contract from the contractor that we chose. Obviously, the fact that we're cleaning the building out, we got to be licensed, insured, and bonded. So I think we got a pretty good contractor. He sent over the details, but that's just a summary of the charges. I'm still waiting on the contract. And within the next 30 to 45 days, we expect for that building to do a 360 because we are pretty much going to strip it down to the bolts and nails and clean it up.
Very good. Very good. All right. Members of the board have any questions for Mr. Bryant?
And I think that we probably are going to be pulling a permit. So you guys will probably see that come through if you need me to give verification for that, or send Mr. Johnson or anyone the actual contract. Once we get that, get it signed and the first deposit made, I could send that over as well, just to follow up on an update, show you guys that everything I am saying is true.
Okay. Board members? Well, I can tell you from my side of things, it's refreshing to see that somebody actually does what they say they're going to do. So again, I appreciate that. Mr. Johnson, on the city side of things, do you have a preference here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The city of Akron would be okay with giving a 90-day review on this one. We would like to see that a roofing contractor come in and certify that the roof is okay. Mr. Bryan keep in contact with us. We also want to make sure that a certified electrician comes in and at least inspects the place and does whatever work that's necessary and keeps the property up to code and communicate with us so we know what's going on, either him or the person that's going to rent it. But a 90-day would be okay with us.
Okay. Thank you. For the record, anyone here to speak against this? Hearing none, does the board, anyone care to make a motion?
I make a motion for case number 23-20, 655 South Hawkins Avenue, to give a 90-day extension and meet the requirements that Mr. Johnson stated. Have its roofing inspected and by a certified roofer, and to try to get all of his repairs completed.
Thank you, Mr. Polk. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, Mr. Bryant, we've granted a 90-day extension for you. Keep up the good work, and we'll see you in 3 months.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Blessed day.
Thank you, too. All right. I think that brings us to the last item of the agenda today. Do we have anyone in the waiting room on this one?
Yes, you do. Mr. Jason Wallace, and I've just admitted him.
I don't see him.
Saying he's joining. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Mr. Chairman, I won't need to swear Mr. Wallace. He's an attorney on behalf of, I believe, the demolition contractor.
They didn't register.
Okay. He disappeared again.
I see you guys on my end.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Gotcha. Hi, welcome, Mr. Wallace. Okay, so this is case number 24-20. The address is 1207 and 1215 Schweitzer Avenue. Mr. Johnson, do we have an update on this one?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Case number 0024-20, address of 1207 and 1215 Schweitzer Avenue. Last reviewed September 9th, 2020. At that time, the board ordered that this property be registered within the VBR for 2019 and 2020. And the owner determined if a contractor can demo this property. We would like to hear from the owner and see what's going on there.
Okay, very good. Mr. Wallace, please.
Hello, everyone. I cannot speak as to the owner because I do not represent the owner and I don't want to mislead anybody there. I am here on behalf of the demolition company, and I have spoken to Mr. York about this property. I believe that we can, I'm not sure how much it involves the board, but I believe there is some work that we can do there, and it's a benefit to everybody involved. It sounds like from discussion with Mr. York that we can get a permit and we can do the demolishing on our end up to the scope of work that we are willing to do, which is demolishing the buildings and leaving some things and some materials there, such as the concrete pad and some other items that the city, I understand now, requires to be done. And then whatever work that we do not complete, the city's contractor can do that work and then assess that price to the real estate taxes for the property owner. I think this is a benefit for everybody because the owner of the property is insolvent. The property is likely going back to the city of Akron. So I think this would greatly reduce the cost of whatever the contractor would charge. Well, I think it would significantly reduce the amount of that potential invoice and that amount on the property taxes. And it allows us to keep some Summit County residents employed. I can't tell you that the property was registered. I do recall that being discussed at the last meeting. I don't know if the owner did that. I don't know if they're just intending on kind of washing their hands and being done with this, or that they have a whole lot of interest either way in what happens here.
Okay.
So I don't know if that answered any questions, but I gave you a little bit of information from my end.
All right.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I mean, the owner's not here, and this is the second time this matter's come for hearing. So that leads me to believe then that the owner does not really contest demolition. Otherwise, I think the owner would be here speaking to you. I have, like Mr. Wallace said, we have spoken. I think what the board can do today, if it's so inclined, would be to order the property demolished. And then Mr. Wallace and I can continue to work on some type of agreement on how the demolition will actually be conducted, but that really doesn't need to concern the board. I think what our goal would be is if his demolition company would carry out part of the demolition, it would save the city some money that we would not otherwise have to spend on the demolition. And the benefit to the owner would be that would be less costs going onto the tax bill. So I would say that Mr. Wallace and I intend to keep talking about that, but I don't think that really concerns the board this morning.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Johnson.
Our records show that the building has not been registered, but I think that's pretty much, mute at this point. We agree with everything Mr. York said, and we, from on this end, recommend demolition to the board as well.
Okay. Board members, any questions? Anyone here to speak for or against otherwise? Okay, hearing none, then we've got the testimony and recommendation. Anyone care to make a motion?
Case number, go ahead.
I'll make a motion for case 24-20, 1207 and 1215 Schweitzer Avenue. I move to have the building demolished.
I'll second.
Very good. Thank you, guys. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, unanimously passed.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you, Mr. Wallace.
We'll be in touch, Jason.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Any other business before the board this morning? I think that was it.
Just point out that the next meeting, like George said earlier, is not until the 18th for next month because of the holiday.
Okay.
And I do believe, Mr. Chairman, that there is going to be no meeting for December 2020.
Okay.
All right. And then the other thing, of course, I'll be around to everyone's to get signatures today. And if you're not available, Mr. Chairman, I'll see you tomorrow.
I I should be available. I'm actually home today, but I've got
Okay.
a couple.
Hey,
of
George, I'm downtown today. So I could either meet you at the city or down here
You'll-
at the First Energy Building.
Okay. I'll give you a call and meet you in the
Okay.
lobby like we did before.
Okay, sounds good.
The roads are open now.
Yes.
George, just give me a heads up on a time. I've got a 1:30 appointment, but I should be home after 3:30.